Okay, so can you see me now and can you hear me? Crap. Oh, great. Okay, so I'm talking. Can you guys hear me? You can barely hear me. Okay, see what I can do here. All right, I moved the mic. Can you guys hear me better now? Okay, awesome. All right, Colors of Avon, can you hear me better now? What about Melody? I moved the mic so it's a lot closer now. Okay, so Melody and Brittany can hear me. If there's anyone else on here who can hear me right now, please let me know. I can tell that Colors of Avon still can't hear me. And I'm sorry that I am a total noob here. this is a yeah. This is all new to me. So I apologize. Okay, and I do not know how to troubleshoot technology as far as live streams go, so I don't know how to help you hear me. I'm so sorry. Okay, so I just thought I'd jump on here because I am home by myself and that never happens. And so I actually started trying to do this like an hour and a half ago. And I thought, why not? I'm just going to try to do a live and we'll see how it goes. So, how is everybody's weekend going? Turning my phone down. Turning everything down. So, you guys are getting me au naturel tonight. This is my weekend look. So, and I have a delay here on what I'm seeing on my screen, which is several seconds after what you guys are seeing, I think. So I'm a little confused, but let's talk about the new year. Okay, so let's talk about that. It is the new year. It is, and I thought I would try something new. It's Saturday, January 4th, and I've spent a lot of time in the last week or so, actually in the week before that, thinking about what our goals are going to be. And so if you follow me on Instagram, is going too quickly, not ready for work on Monday. Melody, yeah, right? The weekends always go by so quick. I love the holidays that we had. We had all these short work weeks these last couple of weeks, which is how I've had time to actually think about my goals and what I want to do for, the budget bounce versus what we are going to do personally with our finances and everything. And so I actually, before I get into all that, I was the most organized I have ever been for Christmas this year. That never happens. And I attribute it to my holiday budget, which I haven't shared yet. I will be doing that once I get it all closed out and everything. But yeah, this last couple of weeks has been a lot easier than it has in previous years. So let's see here. I see I have Melody's here and Colors of Avon is here. Brittany's here. I don't see anybody else chatting right now. Let me know if you're here and where you're coming from, where you're coming at from into the live stream from. And Brittany, you have the same weekend look. That's awesome. Yeah, I have to wear makeup 5 days a week, and I try not to when I don't have to. So you guys get usually I'm full makeup when I'm doing videos. Let's see here. So we had excellent holidays. We had our kids over on the Sunday before Christmas, and we hosted them, and so our kids and granddaughter and everything, and so that was fun because she's 2, and it was just a whole new world for her, and it was just so fun to watch her. And then New Year's came. It was a very quiet night for us because, again, we had our granddaughter so that our daughter and dad could go out for the night. And so literally Matt was in bed with her by 9 o'clock. So that's how it goes. Yes, a chance to breathe, for your face to breathe. That's a very good point, Brittany. Yeah, I just don't like having all that stuff on all the time. Brittany's in Texas. Melody, I wanted to tell you, you came up in my suggestions on Facebook today, and your profile and your cover photos are awesome. Just so you know, I think you were wearing makeup in those, but I'm just telling you that you looked beautiful. So it just happened to pop up today. So, getting back to, oh, that's right, Melody, you're in North Carolina. I knew that. So getting back to goals and that kind of thing, I've actually, if you follow me on Instagram, I've been posting our personal goals. So what Matt and I set for 2020 as far as financial goals go. And so I have been posting those. The last of those goes up tomorrow, but I will tell you, since you're here, that I actually forgot a big one on the list, and that is to actually save up several $1,000s for our vehicle situation. And do you guys want me to go into that? I talked a little bit in my January budget setup, but I'm glad to share if you'd like to know more about that. But I forgot to put that on the list of things. So the 4 things that I listed for financial goals were to pay off $30,000 of debt. So it'll take probably $37,000 or $8,000 for that to happen, but to actually kill off $30,000 of debt, and to put $10,000 into our retirement funds, and to get our emergency fund to $6,000. And then the 4th one is to try to do 100 no spend days. And we are 4 days into the year and we've done 1. So we shall see how that goes. But those are the 4 that I posted that I did a summary of all my goals, and I only listed 4 for us for our financial goals, and completely forgot this thing about the vehicles. So, okay, Brittany says go into it. All right, so here's the deal, is that our youngest is a senior in high school, and he is going to school 5 days a week, and he is working. He goes to high school, and he's working 5 nights a week, and typically 3 of those are during the week when we don't get home in time for him to get to work. So the 3 of us have been sharing 2 vehicles, and we are literally going in 4 different directions at the same time. And so we have had some Uber in our budget the last couple of months because of this, actually throughout the fall, because we have to, occasionally one of us, me or Matt, has to take an Uber. Henry sometimes has to take an Uber to work, and he pays for those when he has to take an Uber to work. We don't pay for those. There was one time, I think it must have been surging, so I helped pay for part of it, but because it was pretty expensive for him to get out there. But we need to get a third vehicle going, and we own a third vehicle, but it doesn't run. So when I very, very first started in 2018, in February of 2018, we had 2 car payments at the time. And one was for our 2006 Trailblazer, and the other one was for our 2016 Traverse. And so we paid the Trailblazer off with our tax refund money that year. And I think I paid it off like the very end of March or beginning of April. And by the end of April, it died. Literally, the engine blew on it. I don't know exactly what's wrong with it, but the engine has to be replaced. And so it's been sitting in our driveway for the last, 20 months? Something like that. We have a huge driveway, so it's sitting in the corner of the driveway. So we talked about, do we want to buy a different car? Do we want to... And at the beginning of these conversations, we were like, we can't buy another car because we don't have any money to buy a car, and we aren't going to go take new financing. And let me just say, even if we were willing to go into debt over this, nobody's loaning us any money because of the fact that my credit in particular, our credit just tanked when Matt was off work and we didn't have his income, and we couldn't pay all of our debts. That's when things got really, really ugly, and that's how this all started. But it went down to like 515 at the very bottom, and it just hasn't come back enough. I don't think with our other things on our credit report, we're not going to be able to get a loan. So the good news is we don't plan on taking out any new debt anyway, but we have been focused on this year. 2019 had all kinds of bumps and all that. We wiped out our emergency fund because of all kinds of things going on and had to cash flow other things. So we finally got that squared away. We got the auto insurance sinking fund thing squared away. And then we realized this is like, we're in urgent need here of doing something with the cars. So at this point, Matt wants to keep the Trailblazer and replace the engine. And his thought process behind that is we can get an engine with a lot lower miles and a lot better warranty and have it replaced that we can trust better and have more resources for than if we go and buy a vehicle for $3,000. So we are looking at, we had another viewer who follows me. I don't know what her name is out here, but her name is Jan, and she emails me a lot. Super, super sweet lady. She's been so helpful and encouraging. And when she saw my video from this week about talking about this with our budget setup, she emailed and said, be thinking about rebuilt versus remanufactured. And I had no idea there was a difference. And so now our budget may end up doubling for the engine because her husband used to work in the automotive industry, and he was sending a warning that, rebuilds can kind of be sketchy and you have to be careful. So now we're looking at, it may cost, instead of, $3,000 total to get it running, it might cost $4,500, which we can do it. It's just going to take a little bit longer. And in the midst of all of this, part of this is Henry's getting a vehicle that is his, essentially. We're not going to put him on the title because then for insurance purposes, it's just, he's 18 and it's going to cost him way too much to get his own insurance without being on ours. But he will essentially have his own car, and we will not have access to it without his permission, where right now he's using our car. So the Lucerne is our other vehicle, and he actually has already purchased the Lucerne from us for $1,800. He spent the whole fall working and giving us $200 per paycheck, and now he has paid $1,800. So he definitely has skin in the game, and he's ready to go on this, but we have to figure out what we're going to do. So that's the deal. We're going to be replacing the engine, and I don't know exactly when that's going to happen. So I did my video on Monday with the budget setup, and then after that was when Jan emailed, and then Matt and I started doing all this research and having these conversations. And so it's still kind of up in the air on what's going to be happening, rebuilt versus remanufactured. But the goal is we will have 3 vehicles so that we all can get where we need to go when we need to get there. So that's the deal with that. So that was the goal that I forgot to put on, was the fact that we're saving several $1,000s. I mean, there's Henry's $1,800, but now it's probably going to be, if we do rebuild, it's going to be like $6,000 or $7,000 to get the Trailblazer running, and there's about $2,000 worth of work that needs to be done on the Lucerne. It's hanging in there, but at some point it's going to stop running if we don't get this stuff done. So both of these vehicles, by the way, are like 200,000 mile vehicles. They're in the 190s. They're really close to 200,000 miles. So let's hear. I feel like some people have joined. Ooh, Minds in Motion. Hi, welcome. Let us know where you're tuning in from. Oh, and there's Dawn. Hi, Dawn. She's in Arizona, so it's a little earlier. It's like 7 o'clock out there. So let's see. Our Minds in Motion says, my granddad bought me a car at 18, but my grandma still gave me rules with the car. Yeah. You know, my dad bought me a car when I was 16, and there were definitely rules. My mom was against it. She wanted me to work and save up for it. And I'm an only child. So I talk about my sister, but biologically I'm an only child. And so my dad really wanted to do this for me, and he was able to do it. And so he did. And then my mom was really, really glad that I had a car, so she didn't have to run me around or worry about me walking around late at night, like when I got home from extracurricular activities and things like that in high school. So Minds in Motion, you're in Florida. Awesome. It's nice and warm down there. It's freezing here. It's in the 20s tonight. Let me see what this says. We got snow last night. Yep, it's 26 degrees here right now. So, oh, hold on just a second. I apologize. I'm texting Rachel Lynn. I had texted her. If any of you guys, if you don't know who Rachel Lynn is, she is out here on YouTube, and she is also working on getting out of debt. So you need to check her out if you get a chance. But I was texting her because I had kind of reached out to her asking for help with just telling her I couldn't get the live stream to go. And anyway, I was just letting her know that I actually got it going. So let's see here. So that was the financial goal that I forgot to include, was the whole thing about we're saving up several $1,000s to essentially replace a car is what we're doing, but we're replacing an engine and doing work on the other one. The whole goal is to not go out and buy different cars that we don't know anything about. So we put a lot of the miles on both of these vehicles, and we want to, the Trailblazer in particular still has a really good body on it, so we don't want to start over with something we don't know anything about. Now, my sister and I got old enough, my parents bought an old junker car. Nothing they would worry about if it got a dent in solid metal. That's awesome. That's awesome, right? Yeah. So, and that's nerve-wracking. When Henry first started driving our car, I was like I hated him driving the Traverse, and I just was so worried that something was going to happen. And I knew if something happened in the Traverse, he'd feel a lot worse than if it happened in the Lucerne. But he's actually a very good driver. So he got his license when he was 17. In Illinois, you have to wait a really long time. You don't, he didn't even get his permit. He was almost 16 before he got his permit, which is just silly. I grew up in Iowa, right? Because I'm right on the Iowa-Illinois border, in case you guys didn't know that. And the newer cars have electrical parts, right? And so I grew up in Iowa, and my sister, not biological, but my sister lives in Iowa, and her kids, my niece and nephew, are they're 16 now, and they were able to get their permits and start driving to school when they were 14. And here's Henry. He's 20 months older than them, I think, or 19 months older than them, and he still didn't have his permit. So it's crazy in Illinois how they do it. Okay, so Minds in Motion is asking if everyone here is on a debt-free journey of some sort. I believe Brittany is, and I know Melody is. There's Rachel. She joined us. Hi. Rachel definitely is. Dawn's saying she's on her third time. Hopefully this will be the charm. Yeah, just the whole thing about being on a debt-free journey is that no matter how many bumps in the road you have, you just have to keep going. And I've felt pretty discouraged this past year with some things that were going on, but we just kept keeping it. When it came to the finances, even if I wasn't out here doing videos and sharing with you guys, when it came to our finances, I was still doing a budget with Matt every month, setting it up. I was still tracking against it the whole month. I was still going out, essentially closing out every month. So I knew where we stood and everything. So I knew where we stood and everything, but it was important that I just kept going, because we have our mountain is too huge and we've been doing this for almost 2 years now. So it's too late to turn back now. So, but I get it, that it can be hard, and starting over, I'm sure, is very difficult. And so just keep going. If you have 2 steps back, just make sure first to get yourself up and dust yourself off and keep moving forward, and make sure you get 3 steps ahead, because you're still farther ahead than you were when you started. Let's see here. There's some chat going on here. Rachel, I was going to bed, but apparently not. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate it. Let's see here. Brittany, I started with close to 40,000. I'm down to 22.9. Awesome. That is awesome, girl. Keep going. Do you think you're going to get done this year, or is it going to take you a little bit longer? And are you the one, I feel like, Brittany, like you reached out to me and asked me for my template, my my budget template. I'm just wondering if that was you, and if so, if you use it and if it's working for you. It's okay if you're not using it, but I just wondered. Let's see here. So Dawn says, medical debt. I ended up having to have a hysterectomy. I'm so sorry. Ugh, plumbing problems are the worst, I tell ya. So, yeah, so medical debt. Is that the only thing you have, Dawn? Dawn considers herself to be very blessed. That's awesome. That's a really good frame of mind to have. So, Dawn, are you saying that you've paid off your debt before and then just new debt came up and you're starting over? Or are you saying you fell off the wagon in the middle and had to start over? Brittany, I'm super excited for you. So our big news is that it may take a bit longer, middle of next year. And yes, that was me. I used it for my digital tracker and also a notebook for paper tracking. Awesome. Awesome. I'm glad that it worked for you. Oh, Dawn, that's awesome. Your car and your home are paid for. That is impressive. Way to go. I've lost my train of thought. I don't know what it was I was going to say. Oh, couldn't figure out how to get the percentages to work. You know, that was something new that I added when I sent that to you, because you notice I don't have a whole lot of percentages on mine. So, and it's because I struggle with keeping them going. I was going to tell you guys, we actually hit again, if you follow me on Instagram, you saw this, but we actually hit a big milestone at the end. As of the end of December, we have paid off $50,000 of our debt. And as of the end of January, we will be officially, I believe, done with 20% of our original debt of $252,000. So that's where we are. And sorry, I apologize. My family's not here tonight. Oh, that's just the kid sending his work schedule. My family's not here tonight, so if I get texts, when they're not here, I'm looking constantly. So Henry's at work and Matt is at poker. He plays poker once a month, and that's not in the budget because he has to figure out how to do that, how to get that money himself. So yeah. So, thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. I put up some business goals too, but I don't necessarily need to go into those, other than the one that would be most relevant to you guys is that I'm going to be doing one video a week. It may not always be on the same day, but I'm going to do one video a week. So, thanks, Brittany. Yep, I love the celebration when we get it. We have not figured out a way to do a celebration that doesn't cost us money, but we just haven't slowed down to do it. We spend so much of our free time with our granddaughter, and she just brings us so much joy that we're pretty darn content with, you know, what's going on with life right now, I guess. So, just looking to see if there's any more new in the chat over here. Yeah, Dawn, you just keep going, girl. You are going to be killing off that debt, I hope, really soon. Get this a little farther over. Okay, do you guys have any questions for me? Rachel, while we're waiting for people to write questions, tell us how much debt you've paid off. And Melody, I know what I was going to say earlier when you were talking about, maybe you didn't talk about how much of your debt you paid off, but I know that you are paying off debt. And if you're still here, I'm just wondering if you're still, because I know you've talked in other live streams with other YouTubers that you are contributing to your 401k and that kind of thing. And at the 2 years ago at the beginning of this, I was like, nope, not going to do it. We're totally focused on debt. I'm not going to be doing anything else. And then I realized what a long road we have ahead of us and how short of a runway we have since we are in our mid 40s. And so I have started contributing to my 401k again in 2019. Let's see here. Rachel's paid off over $35,000 in the last 2 years. More if she hadn't been jobless for the last 6 months. But here's the thing about that, Rachel, and everybody else. If you don't know Rachel's story, she might have been jobless the last 6 months, but that doesn't mean she wasn't working. So Rachel was working her butt off, and she ended up not having to get, and I think you said you didn't even have to touch your emergency fund for the time that you were off because of the way that you set yourself up. So I'm just really, really proud of you. And I think I've told you that before, but just thought I'd remind you again. Okay, still about $40,000 left for Rachel. Well, now you have that full-time job again, so, you know, you're going to be getting some traction. So, all right, one way I celebrated from Dawn, I created a manger with gifts that were made of unused Scotch-Brite cleaning pads and labeled each one with a debt. Then I unwrapped as I paid them off. That's awesome. That is awesome. So Melody is responding, I'm going to max out my 401k this year. I started my journey in May and I'm 42. So holy crap, Melody, 166,000 is where you started and you're down to 49. Wow. And you're going to max out your 401k. So for those of you who don't know, the maximum for 2020 is $19,500. And that is impressive. She's going to put $19,500 towards her retirement. And I'm just curious, what's your match, Melody? Does your company match, and what is it? And then on top of that, she's going to be continuing to pay down that $49,000 that's left. You are under the $50,000 mark. That is so awesome. So, Rachel's going back to, I asked her if she had to get into her emergency fund, and she really didn't. She bought her computer and a little bit to go to Fincon, but those weren't emergencies. They weren't emergencies, but they were important. So, and yeah, Rachel, it's progress. I mean, the fact that you were able to cash flow your life and all of that and not have to, you didn't have to live off of your emergency fund at all, even though you weren't working a full-time job. I mean, when I say she was working hard, guys, I mean it. That's awesome. Oh, wow. Is it 100% on 6%? Melody, sorry. Match is 6%. That's awesome. At my company, you would totally make bank because our match is 25%, which sounds awful, except if you are somebody like Melody, it's 25% with no cap. So that means you get 25% of every dollar you put in. So let's just say it was a nice $20,000 round number this year. My company puts in $5,000. So, yeah. So, Colors of Avon, my match is 1%. Oh. Oh, 100% on 6%, Melody. That's awesome. My last employer had that. I was 25 when I started that job, and I started my 401k as soon as I was eligible. And then I left. I was there 4.5 years, and then I came to where I am now. I relocated. I was up in Chicago, and I relocated here and came to the company that I'm at now almost 18 years ago. And we had a 100% match on the first 6%, and I was killing it in my 401k, and I was like 26 years old when I started. And then I used it to buy my house when I moved here. And then there went all my compounding. So that was not a good financial decision that I made. Let's see here. Match is 6%. Oh, Marie joined us. Marie Jones. I'm new. I think it's exciting how good you're doing. My question is, how do you start? Before I answer that, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything else. Bye, Brittany. So glad to have you here tonight. Oh, no match for Dawn. 2% match for Rachel at her last teaching job. But we also got a free 4%. So I put in 2 and got 8. That's awesome. That is a great deal. That is an awesome deal. So, okay, guys, Marie wants to know where to start. So I have some thoughts on that. But if you have some thoughts on that, I encourage you to share them with her in the chat. But the bottom line is, I don't know anything about your situation. The bottom line is, you need to have a budget. And I love my budget, and I love budgeting, but budgets get such a bad rap, like they are a terrible thing. And here's the thing, is that do they take a little time? Sure, absolutely. Do they help me sleep at night? Yes, because I was not doing a whole lot of that before we started using a budget 2 years ago. And literally, when I'm one of those people that when we started putting everything down and tracking against it, we got like a $600 a month raise is what it felt like, because we were just throwing money out the window until we started tracking it and saying, this is what we're going to do this month. And then we follow that. And it's not that we don't ever deviate, but you need to figure out how much money do you have coming in every month? How much money do you have going out? You have to write down all of your sources of income and all of your outgoing expenses. So that's bills and things like that, but also any of your variable spending that you are doing right now. And if you're not sure how to figure that out, I would recommend that you look at like the last 6 months of your bank statements. And if you are somebody who does cash only and maybe you don't have bank statements, then start now and just write down for the next month, just write down everything that you spend every day, just on a sheet of paper. Doesn't have to be fancy. Just write down what the date was, where you spent it, and how much you spent. And then you can kind of look at that and figure out where you're spending your money. So what's coming in, what's going out, and the goal is to have a zero-based budget, so you're giving your money a purpose, before you ever get it. And that way, when it comes, you know exactly what the plan is. Instead of waiting until after it comes and then, oh, it takes you a couple of days to actually put it together. And by that time, it's the weekend and you went out to a movie and dinner with your friend or something. And all of a sudden you spent $50 or $100, but it wasn't necessarily designated for that. And that's how things get away from you. So let's see here. Let's see what everybody's saying. And Melody, been there, done that with cashing out the 401k. True story. Ugh. Let's see here. Start with tracking your spending is what Dawn says, then creating a budget. Let's see here. Okay, so then Colors of Avon says, I also recommend running your credit for free at annualcreditreport.com. Great point. And then list all your debts from smallest to largest. Absolutely. So when I talked about your expenses, your outgoing, your debts absolutely have to be part of that. And here's the thing is that it really, I had somebody else who reached out to me this week that actually I grew up with her. I'm from a really small town in Iowa. There were 2,000 people and our whole entire school district had like 800 kids in it. So my class was like 53. And I'd gone to school with this girl from kindergarten all the way through high school. And I put a couple of posts up this week on my personal Facebook page, which I've never done before. The two that I did was, first of all, I did a post about the debt-free community and encouraging people to find the debt-free community if they are feeling isolated and scared or confused or concerned about their money. And with that, I put our debt tracker up and showed that, you know, what we paid in 2019 and explained that I think I put in there that we had paid off $50,000 so far. And the other one that I put up was actually the video that I did with Liz from Chief Mom Officer when we were at Fincon in September. She and I got together and I interviewed her to talk to her about planning for emergencies that go beyond your emergency fund. And so I felt like those two things, the fact that the debt-free community is out there and you can find help and support there for free. There's things you can pay for, but lots of free resources and support, the support out there. You know, I wanted people to know that coming into the new year that they don't have to be scared and they don't have to be alone. And also this whole thing about emergencies that are beyond the emergency fund. And this classmate of mine reached out to me and all she said was something, it was just one or two sentences and said, how do you even get started? We totally need to make changes because we're living paycheck to paycheck. And she, I didn't know anything about her situation, just like I don't know anything about Marie's situation. But the answer is always going to be, the budget is going to be your best weapon. And it doesn't matter your weapon against debt or your weapon for your financial goals, whatever they are, savings goals. So if you're trying to save for retirement, or if you're trying to save up because you need to buy a new car, or you're trying to save up for a down payment on a house, or any of those things, you have to have a roadmap for that. And the budget is definitely that every single month. So let's see here. Yeah, so Dawn, Budget Bootcamp. I can't remember who has the one called Budget Bootcamp, but there are tons of resources out there to help you with getting started. And a lot of people know who Dave Ramsey is, and so Marie, I don't know if you do or not, but if you, he has some very basic steps. If you have no idea what you're doing or how to get started, he's got some free resources on his website. Lots of other places have free resources on their website. Some of them you have to pay for them. But my point is finding free resources. Oh, Our Life on a Budget. That's right. She's actually got, okay, Thank you for saying that, Dawn. Our Life in a Budget, that is Angela, and she's up in Canada, and she was the very first person that I found doing videos because it was that weekend that I sat down to do everything to get ready for our first budget, and I was mad and I was scared. And I was like, I did Dave Ramsey years before I met my husband. I was doing it. I was in and continued to do it until we got engaged and I had a wedding to plan. And then I just fell off the wagon and just said, see ya. The wagon left me long behind for 9 years. But I knew about Dave Ramsey and I knew that that worked for me when I was single. So I Googled him. And of course I watched one of his videos. You know, it was a link to something on YouTube. So I'm watching his video. And then over there in the side are all the suggested videos, and there was Angela, and it said Budget Bootcamp on it. I'm like, what's this? You know, so I click on it, and actually it wasn't her picture, it was Our Life on a Budget. I click on it, and it's just this regular person talking about how she's using Dave Ramsey's baby steps that they are using Dave Ramsey's baby steps to get out of debt. And she did, it was 30 or 31 days that year that she did a video every single day, and it's free. So absolutely. Jordan Page is another one. She has several things. You have to pay for hers. I don't know how many free resources she has, but Jordan Page has some awesome stuff too. Excuse me. Let's see here. Let me look at the chat here. I was talking and it got away from me here a little bit. Let's see here. So, it walks you through how to do this. Yes, I'm just looking at Dawn's comments here. Pennies into pearls. Ooh, you know, I haven't, Colors of Avon, I have not checked that out. I know Pennies into Pearls. I know her. But I don't know her resources. I've never seen any of them. So absolutely go check her out. She's got a really good channel. So she's got a lot of good stuff on there. And so Dawn says that Angela was her first person too. Budget Girl was first for Melody. So here's the thing. I heard about Budget Girl from Angela. And so I ended up watching her. And then, so for me, it was Our Life on a Budget, Budget Girl, Freedom in a Budget, Wendy Valencia. And now I've met 3 of the 4 of those ladies, and I call them friends. They are people that I've met in real life and spent some time with, and each one of them is no different in person than what you see right here. You're getting the real thing. Yeah, Budget Girl rocks. She is awesome. So Jordan Page has a budget boot camp. I think you do have to pay for it. I feel like I went and looked that up shortly after I found her. Oh, let me just tell you, she was actually at Fincon. She was on a panel. She didn't have her own session that she did, but she was on a panel. It was not about what I would have expected her to be talking about, but that room was packed because of the 4 people that were in that room. And yeah, Budget Girl was first. Rachel says, I found Budget Girl 2 years ago when I started. Yeah, you know, when she did her debt-free screen, yeah, that was pretty awesome. I was rooting for her. I don't remember how far into our journey we were. Did she just do that at the beginning of 2018? Or was it 2019 when she did it? Do you guys remember? I feel like she got out of debt in like May or June of 2017? And then she did her Scream in like February of 2018? I can't remember. She's killing it now, though. Did you guys hear? I don't know if you saw that she actually was able to buy her website, budgetgirl.com. She was actually able to buy it, to buy the domain, not just rent it like the rest of us do, but to buy her domain. She was able to do that this year. Oh, Melody says she found Kelly from Freedom in a Budget when she was under 1,000 followers. You know, I found her, she was at like 3,000 when I found her. Melody says Budget Girl did her debt-free scream in February of 2018. Yeah, so she was debt-free then when I found her too. But I watched all of her videos, even though she'd already done it. I watched all of her videos from the very beginning in chronological order, and was like, I knew it was coming, and I was building up to it, like the anticipation of getting to see it. It was almost like it was real time for me. Got it. 2018, February 2018. That's when I started. February 1st is when we started our first budget, and February 14th was when I did my first video for the budget bounce. Do you guys have any questions you want to ask me? Any other topics you want to talk about while we got everybody here? Oh, hey, I keep forgetting to ask. I would love it if you would give this a like, if you guys would go up and hit that thumbs up button for me. So we've talked about some other channels. I'm totally open to talking about those. There are lots that are in the circle that I am working within, as far as from, you know, who I follow myself, from for our financial journey, as well as what I'm doing for you know, the budget bounce in general, you know, as a business. But Rachel, why are you so awesome? Right back at you, sister. So the next question that came in right after that was, how was Fincon? So, let's see here. How was Fincon, Rachel? We had a blast. In case you guys didn't know, Rachel and I ended up rooming together at Fincon, and it was almost like it was meant to be. It was really weird. The night before, it was Monday, before I was flying out the next Monday for the conference. And I got an email. I got home from work and I found an email from the roommate that I had arranged. And she said, I'm so sorry, but I've had a family emergency and I am not going to be able to go to Fincon next week. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh no, I'm not going to get to go and everything. Matt's going, we have the money. We'll just move money around. You're going, you know. But I woke up the next morning super early. I had a terrible night of sleep because I was so worried about it. And Rachel had posted in this group. There's a group of us YouTubers that are in this Facebook group. And she had posted, maybe it's just because it's late at night or whatever, but I think I want to go to Fincon next week. I have no idea where I'm going to sleep, but I think I want to go. I mean, it was almost like it was meant to be. And so, and it actually ended up working out really well for me because I only had a roommate for 4 nights. And because of how this all came about, Rachel stayed with me for 5 and Budget Girl stayed with me for 1 of them. So I had a roommate for every single night that I was there. That said, Fincon was awesome. Fincon itself, this was my second one. And I was so anxious about it last year. I didn't know what I was walking into. I didn't know anything about anything. I mean, you guys, I sat in a session with Roberto Blake and had no idea who he was. And if you don't know who he is, that wouldn't surprise me because he's not a financial YouTuber. He is somebody who helps content creators create content. That's what his channel is about. But I had no idea who he was, and he was talking about a lead magnet, and I'm sitting there going, am I in the right session? I don't even know what a lead magnet is. You know, so I'm in HR. I don't do lead magnets in my day-to-day life. So I was so lost. I totally fangirled over Sarah last year in 2018. Kelly too, but with Sarah, with Budget Girl, I literally, like, I couldn't talk. I couldn't figure out what to say. Anyway, so that was last year, but this year I had a plan. I knew what to expect. I knew how it was set up. And so I went in with a plan. I met with brands this time. I had a full schedule. Like, sessions started Wednesday afternoon. I think at 1 o'clock was the first session. I didn't go to one until Friday morning at like 11. And that's because I had so many other things lined up. Either I was meeting with brands or I was meeting with other creators. Like, I did videos with Justine from Debt Free Millennials, Marissa over at The Budgeting Wife, Liz from Chief Mom Officer. I feel like I did another one. Rachel and I actually ended up not doing a video together, even though we stayed together the whole week. But I did those kinds of things. And so I spent a lot of time in the expo center with all of the brands that were there. And so it was great. It was fantastic. And then once I started going to sessions on Friday, I focused on those quite a bit. Let's see here. How is Fincon? What's our next goal? Okay. So, Marie, let me just answer real quick. Marie Jones, how often do I do this live chat? This is the first time I've ever done one. So, this is my first time, but there are lots of channels out here who do them occasionally. And so, if you are interested, the people that I've seen do them in our circle that Rachel and I run around in, Freedom in a Budget, Dennis from True Financials. So it's TRU Financials. He got really lucky because his last name is Trufin, Trufin, and he made a business name out of it. True Financials. And then JJ Buckner, he'll do them. And also the Finn Mindset. It's the and then Finn, Finn, Mindset. Those three do, I feel like they're the ones who pop up the most with doing live streams. We did a live stream, Rachel, when we were at Fincon. There is one, I don't think you can see it on YouTube anymore, but Budget Girl did one. There were a bunch of us, so I'm trying to remember who all was in there. So Rachel and I were both there, Budget Girl, so Sarah, Kelly from Freedom in a Budget, Wendy Valencia was there, Justine from Debt Free Millennials, Marissa from The Budgeting Wife, Mary from Penny's Not Perfection. I keep wanting to go back to her old channel name. Was that everybody? Did I miss anybody, Rachel? So we did a live stream on Friday night. And if you go out to Budget Girl's Facebook group and go back to September, she posted it in September. So it's out in the group. You just have to go find it. Let's see here. So what's our next goal? Our next goal right now, what we're focusing on is the situation with the vehicles. So if you didn't hear all of that earlier because you weren't here, the bottom line is we need to replace the engine in our third vehicle so we can each have one, because using 2 cars for 3 people is not working. So it's actually, I think, costing us more than it would if we just got the other one up and running. So that's our next big goal, is that we need to get that done. And I forgot to list it on our financial goals for 2020. So it's actually the first one we're going to do, as opposed to the other 4 that I listed. And then let's see here. How often do I do the live chat? Fincon was amazing, according to Rachel. What is something you aren't giving up while getting out of debt? I feel like one of the things that we are still doing is eating out. And part of that's because I really don't like to cook. And Matt was doing it for a while and then he stopped. And so now it's, we are not eating the healthiest, and it's for what we eat at home. And then we are eating on the run more often than I like. We've been blowing our dining budget for months. But, so we've not given up eating out. We aren't necessarily frugal. I'm not saying that I don't shop around for deals like, a big thing that I have not done anything on this on Instagram yet. I did not go after Christmas shopping. So in my holiday budget, I have a line item for the day after Christmas. And I typically go that morning. The stores open at 6, 7, 8, and 9, for the ones that I like to go to. Target, Walmart, Hobby Lobby, and Dollar Tree. Those are usually the ones I like to hit. And I didn't go to any of them. And not only did I not go the day after Christmas, but I didn't go at all. At all. So that was a big deal because I really, really wanted to go, but I didn't go. So, so that was one thing that I gave up for this year. I wouldn't say that I give it up all the time, but that was a big one. And then, trying to think what else I don't give up. I don't feel like we give up a whole lot of things. My Mary Kay, for sure. That's another one. My Mary Kay. So, before we started this whole thing, I sold Mary Kay. I had a Mary Kay business. And so I still buy Mary Kay. I swear by it. I was a customer before I sold it. And I decided to start a business. And then right at that time, everything with Matt's health blew up and things at my work blew up. And I just couldn't do it all. And so I essentially just kept up with my current customers and wasn't building up any other clientele. And actually, it was the director that I worked with for Mary Kay that was the reason why the budget bounce even started. Neither of us knew that the night that it happened, but it was a very pivotal moment in my life. It was like a 90-minute conversation that she and I had. Just a little bit of our backstory. Matt was very, very sick, and I wasn't telling anyone. He wasn't working. We didn't change our habits. We were still eating out like crazy and like crazy. You guys, in 2017, we spent $1,100 a month on food for 3 people. And probably $700 of that was eating out. So there's that. But I was at a meeting. I was at a unit meeting. It was the Tuesday night before Thanksgiving. Our daughter and her boyfriend and their brand new baby, our granddaughter, 2.5 weeks old, had moved in on Sunday with us. We had moved them up here from another town about an hour away. And so now everything at home had changed. Matt was very, very sick and really struggling. He was having severe anxiety and depression, and it was awful. And I was so scared. I was so scared. And I was sitting in this Mary Kay meeting, and I'm going to do it right now. Sorry, but I'm sitting in this Mary Kay meeting, and I started crying. There were great things, great conversation happening around me, and I started crying, and I couldn't stop. And I had to get up, and I had to leave. And I went to the bathroom, and I gathered myself, and I came back, and I'm sitting in the meeting, and it just keeps coming. And I'm trying to be very discreet because the room is full, and we're sitting in a horseshoe, so like everybody can see everyone. It's not like I'm sitting in the back of the room where I can sneak out easily. But sorry, I'm getting emotional. Cheap Kleenex. That's what happens. But she stayed with me. She actually asked me to stay afterwards. And she spent 90 minutes with me that changed my life. I didn't actually have my sick and tired of being sick and tired moment for another 2 months or so. But it changed the whole trajectory of my life. And it just started this whole domino effect of things that led us to where we are right now. So Mary Kay is something I have not given up as far as the products. I don't still have a business. I don't still attend unit meetings or anything like that, but that's another thing. Let's see what other questions we have here. Rachel says she's done, oh, that's right. Rachel has done a couple of live streams. We should do one together. Yes, we should. That's a great idea, Rachel. Why haven't we thought of that before? You know, it took me, you weren't on here for me when I was talking about, it took me almost 2 hours to get this set up. I could not figure it out. I watched a lot of YouTube videos to figure it out. Thanks, Colors of Avon, for not going on that after Christmas shopping spree. Nick is here. What's up? Hey, Nick. Welcome. Where are you coming to us from? Dawn, don't be sorry about your emotions. Thanks. I'm very emotional. How do you budget when your checks are not consistent? So, is there anybody on here, before I answer that, is there anyone on here who lives on a variable income that budgets for a variable income? Because I'm going to be honest, I have a very steady income. My husband and I both have a salary that we get paid the same no matter what. So I can work 40 hours a week. I can work 35. I can work 60. It doesn't matter. I get paid the same every time. So we know exactly what's happening. If there's somebody here who knows more about that or has resources for Marie, then I would love for you to share those. Go ahead and share them in the chat so that she knows where she can go look. There are other channels who talk about it. I just don't know enough about it to do a video on it. So I can't refer you to a video. But the bottom line is, at the most basic is, you have to determine what is the minimum amount that you know that you will make every week no matter what. Is it $100? Is it $500? Is it $1,000? What is it? The minimum. Maybe it's usually $400 or $500 a week, but then you jump up to $800 or $1,000 a week. Okay, so or you can do it by month or however you want to do it. You can, by the way, when you're setting up your budget, you can do it by month. You can do it by week. You can do it by paycheck. Lots of people do it by paycheck. And actually, we want to get to that. I want to get to that, but we aren't there yet. So, yeah, for sure. So here we've got some people talking about it. So when I submitted my first Avon taxes in 2014, that's when I realized my personal budget was in shambles and started my debt-free journey. Awesome. Dawn says, I budgeted for the lowest amount I knew I would get, then used the overage for debt snowball. That's awesome. And then Rachel says, if you can budget based on your lowest amount, do that. Otherwise, you need a sinking fund for the times when you make less. Actually, a sinking fund is a really good idea. So I'm a huge proponent of sinking funds, but we also, just to be clear for those of you who don't know me or haven't watched our videos yet, we are high income earners. So we have a fairly, I'm very transparent. Our total amount is about $9,000 a month that comes in. Now, that's only after taxes. That's gross after taxes. But when we take out the deductions, because I always account for those in our budget, all the deductions that come out of our paycheck for insurance and that kind of thing, we still are bringing home over $8,000 a month. So I don't want you to feel like you need to be I don't want to make you feel like you're out of touch with me because of that. Because when I say we're living paycheck to paycheck, we really are. And if one of us couldn't work right now, we would be in a world of hurt. So our mess is just really, really big. So that's what big salaries do for you. Because having more money doesn't necessarily make you better with it. So, and we are perfect examples of that. Let's see here. Dawn says, I was slowly going bankrupt, making $18,000 per year. Then I realized I needed to make good offense as well as good defense where earning and spending were concerned. So I got a different job in the school district and doubled my pay. That is awesome. Yeah. And so Marie, one of the things that you may find when you start writing everything down, so you're writing down what you have coming in and you're writing down what you have going out. And you're seeing all of a sudden, like, you have more going out than you have coming in. So at that point, you need to do one of two things, or maybe both. you need to either increase your income or you need to decrease your expenses, or you might need to do both. So, and those are, I mean, there are channels out here that are dedicated to side hustles that will help you make money and that kind of thing. And there are things you can do from home, and there are things that you can do, all kinds of delivery services that you can do now. Kelly over at Freedom and a Budget, she still babysits. That girl works 80 hours a week and she still babysits for friends because she makes really good money doing it. I'm looking to see if I had any questions that I missed. Don't forget to give this a like for me. If you can give me a thumbs up, go click on that. Do you guys have any other questions for me or anything that you want to talk about? Yeah, Rachel's saying she's got to go to bed. Yeah, and that's kind of where I am. I'm winding down as well. So I want to just say thanks to everybody for joining. This was, once I finally got it going, this was really fun, and I'm really glad that you guys were here. So I'm not sure when I'll do this again, but I will try to do a little bit more promotion of it. I'm just about to hit 1,000 subscribers, and when I do that, I'll get the community thing where you can actually post like you're posting on Facebook or Instagram. I'll get that functionality, and then I can, put something out there that you guys can see before I actually do it. Pardon me. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wind this down. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best with your financial goals, whatever you've set for yourself for this year. Marie, I have my email on my channel page. If you go to the Budget Mounts channel page on the About, you can find my email there. Feel free to email if you'd like to. But I think you were given lots of good resources. So, oh, you don't feel so overwhelmed or alone. I'm so, so glad. If you're on Instagram, also check out the debt-free community out there. Just search the hashtag debt-free community, and you will find so much support out there too. So with that, I am going to, Dawn says you definitely are not alone. This is so true. I came out here because I felt alone, and I certainly do not feel that way anymore either. All right, guys, everybody have a great night. We'll talk to you later.